Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today for Simple Stories to share with you this Christmas layout. This is created using the Hearth Holiday collection, which has a little bit of a creamy vintage feel to it. So you can see that I edited my two photos with somewhat of a similar sort of vintage feel to it. They are two photos of my husband and I kissing under the mistletoe. This is from 2021, and of course we have one this year, so there's several years worth of pictures, and sometimes we get ourselves centered in the frame and sometimes we don't, but so that is what the topic is here. So you can see I have pulled a piece of the wood grain background, so that is not from the collection, but I wanted a sort of more vintage white background, and so that wood grain was perfect. And then I have a bunch of circles that I want to cut to offset and create a fun play of movement to mimic the mistletoe ball. Well, not really mimic, but off-play the circle. So you can see I've gotten all of my circle punches out of various different manufacturers, but I decided that I really want a really big one, and I don't have that size punch, so I'm using one of my metal dies. I don't have much room there to cut the paper to get it to fit through the die cut machine, and so I am going to cut that, and it has a stitched circle just to add some texture to the page. So we have that nice big green circle. And then I'm going to use those different size punches to get all sorts of different circles of different textures, different shapes, well, not shapes, different size circles, and sort of interplay off of that in that bordered area that I have there. So you can see that I am using primarily the reds and the greens. I'm going to throw in a little bit of that, the blue, and that will play off of the blue that it is all sitting on. So I have a phrase here with one of the larger punches, and then I will sprinkle in some other fun elements just to add some visual interest. I have to apologize for the movement of the camera. I have a new filming system, and I think what's happening is that the work surface, the work pad, the We Are Memories Keeper pad that I'm working on is actually pushing up against the tripod, and that is what is creating the movement. But I promise you that does not happen the whole video. I do not want to make you seasick. I got seasick just watching myself edit that part of it. So I apologize, and I will definitely work on that not happening again. So just more and more circles, trying to get a mix of reds and greens, of lights and darks, of different patterns. And then there's a couple of other elements that I want to integrate into the page here. So these are the bits and pieces. Lots and lots of fun elements to choose from. I'm going to go with the florals here, just again to add that pop of color and to break up the circle. They're close enough to the circle, but they're not. And those little colored circle half color elements are perfect as well because they continue to be round. And then I found a few other little bits and pieces, bits and bobs. I knew that there was mistletoe in the collection, and of course you have to have mistletoe hanging from the top of the page, right? When you're kissing under the mistletoe. And I really liked this card, and I thought it would provide a nice white space because I like white, and that would be great for journaling. Here's my mistletoe. So of course everything comes from one pack except for the mistletoe. And then I found a few other round things that I thought maybe might integrate into the page. But first I know I want to stitch, and so I've gone off to my machine and I've stitched there. I want something, a pop of color above these photos, and so what better thing to use than these tags. This is my absolute favorite. I use the tags just about every time I create with Simple Stories collections because they are my favorite. So I really wanted to use that green and that blue, but something was going to pop up above it, and I'm sure I could have used an element to cover that up, but I really didn't want to have to rely on having to do that, so I just went with that blue one instead. which gave me nice clean tops to the top of those tags. What I love about these tags is that you have two options. You have both the printed side as well as the what I'm going to call blank side for journaling, or whatever you want. You could put more decoration. You could stamp with the stamps in there, would be super cool. But I like the way that that just sort of grounds those photos and pulls a little bit more color into the top of the page and ties really the bottom of the page into the top of the page. Slightly offset that intentionally because I have the movement of all of the circles here. That's where I decide, what were you thinking, Susanna, when you've stacked all of those rectangles? No, just no. No, no, no. But I do come up with a solution. And that is it. So a third tag, so we have a little bit of a visual triangle created there, and a perfect space to nestle my storytelling or my journaling there. And so you can see I've got the three different colors as well, which integrates the whole and kind of pulls that whole layout together. So while I had arranged all the circles before, I have to rearrange them all again because I have no clue what I did before. And now that I have the tags in there, it changes how things are going to go. But super simple. I mean, I'm not going to stress too much about it. I just want to get a nice variety of reds and greens and the blue tied in, as well as making sure that I have the different sizes that are sprinkled. But it's a fun, see how they really pop the mistletoe in the photo. And then because of the white border that I've got around those photos, it softens those photos even more. So I'm just going to stick all of that down. Some of it I'm going to pop up with foam, again, just for different dimensions and textures in the page. And yeah. So this is the Hearth and Holiday collection from Simple Stories. It is a super cool collection. One of the things that I did not use, but there are numbers. So I believe it's 0 to 25. It might be 0 to 30. I don't have the collection sitting in front of me. I apologize. But they are super cool, and I can totally see using this collection in my December daily or document December. It's called both because I use LA Studio products as well. So that I can see this going into there and having some fun with that, especially using those numbers. But there's so many great elements, and they're just fun. They're fun and yeah, bright and happy. So again, popping up the flowers. So I think both of those flowers are popped. I'm also going to pop up the split circle, the navy and white circle, and I am going to pull in a chipboard piece or two as well, just to add to that depth and variation in the layout there. I love this double-sided foam. I can't believe this is still the same roll that I started over a year ago. I want to say we're coming up on maybe 2 years. This January probably, because that's when CHA or Creativation would be. I'm so old school, so to me it's still CHA. So this is the collection pack stickers, and I'm going to put a few of those in there. I love that little pop of red in those mixed bubbles and that little speech bubble with the heart in it. It ties just a little bit more of that tan into the collection. So you can see I wasn't able to use that round wreath there, but that's okay. There's still, I didn't want to add too much. There's a lot going on there. So this mistletoe already has a bow, but it has a yellow bow, and I have not used much of the yellow in the collection. So I've just taken the sticker from the sticker sheet and I'm popping that up on foam, and it covers the yellow bow perfectly and adds a little texture to the top of the page there as well. I also had pulled a red tag, just a little red tag with the heart, because I've got lots of hearts sprinkled. When you're kissing under the mistletoe, of course you have to have that hearts, right? And I thought maybe I might use another tag to just sort of offset that, but it's perfect the way that it is. So that is the simple little topper to the page there, and just getting these last little bits and pieces of hearts all scattered throughout the collection. So I am up on the Simple Stories blog today with this same layout. So if you want to read a little bit more about it, you can. If you've come from the Simple Stories blog to see how this comes together, welcome. If you don't subscribe, I would love to have you join me on my scrapping adventures. And last but not least, I'm going to put the title, which is Holly and Jolly. So the close-ups are to follow. Enjoy the close-ups. If you have any questions about the collection and or how I've used the product, please don't hesitate to leave that in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. Come back again soon. Take care.